All right, let's jump right into this. We're heading back to the 12th century, a pretty chaotic time. But in the middle of all of it, there's this one ruler, Sultan Nuruddin Zangi, who was known for being incredibly just and deeply religious. He was a powerful guy, for sure, but his faith was everything. And one night, that faith was about to face the ultimate test.
So picture this. One night, the Sultan has this incredibly vivid dream. And in the dream, the Prophet Muhammad appears to him, pointing at two men he's never seen before, and says these exact words. Nuruddin wakes up, his heart just pounding. You can imagine. A dream like that, it's unforgettable.
So, what do you even do with a dream like that? This isn't just some random, weird dream. For someone like Nuruddin, a dream of the Prophet is seen as something profound, something deeply meaningful. He just couldn't shake the feeling that this was a serious warning.
And get this, it didn't just happen once. The Sultan, troubled, goes back to sleep, and the exact same dream happens again. And then a third time, same faces, same words, same urgent plea. Save me from these two men. Okay, so for Nuruddin, this is it. This is no longer just a dream. It's a message, an urgent call to action he absolutely cannot ignore. Now, the dream didn't say where this was all happening, but the Sultan starts thinking it through logically. Where in the world could the Prophet possibly need protection? And there was only one answer that made sense. His sacred resting place in the city of Medina. He knew deep in his gut that's where he had to go. What's so interesting is how he decides to handle this. He can't just make a huge announcement, right? If there's a real plot going on, that would just tip off the bad guys. So the Sultan makes a critical decision. He'll go immediately, but he's going to do it in total secret. With just a small handful of his most trusted men, Nuruddin Zangi sets out across the brutal Arabian desert. Think about that journey. It's long, it's dangerous, but his mind is completely locked in on one thing: answering the call from his dream and protecting the Prophet's honor. So when he finally arrives in Medina, he doesn't just storm the city. No, his approach is much, much smarter. He comes up with this absolutely brilliant and subtle plan to find the two men from his dream without raising any alarms at all. His strategy was pure genius. First, he puts out the word that he's come to give gifts and charity to every single person in the city. This gives him the perfect excuse to personally meet and look at every single face, all while searching for the two men he saw so clearly in his dream. He met with literally everyone: scholars, merchants, pilgrims, you name it. But the faces from his dream? Nowhere to be found. He starts getting worried, so he asks the locals this crucial question. At first they say, yeah, that's everybody. But then someone remembers. Oh, wait, there are those two foreign guys who never seem to accept charity.
You see, the townspeople described these two guys as the picture of devotion. They said they spent all day and night praying in the mosque, and everyone really admired them for it. But the Sultan's dream, well, it was painting a very different and much darker picture. So he asks for the men to be brought to him, just pretending he wants to give them their share of the charity. And the moment they walk in, Nuruddin knows. Instantly, they were the exact faces from his dream. He kept his cool on the outside, but inside, he knew the danger was real. The men, of course, tried to play it off. They claimed they were just humble pilgrims who loved the Prophet so much they moved to Medina. It sounded believable, but the Sultan wasn't buying it. He insisted on going to see the little house where they were staying. When they get to the house, everything seems perfectly normal. It's just a simple, modest place. A few prayer mats, some basic supplies. There was absolutely nothing that looked out of place. But Nuruddin's eyes were sharp. He's scanning every single detail. And that's when he sees it. One part of the floor, it just looked a little different. The ground was uneven, the dust looked like it had been recently shifted. That's all he needed to see. He immediately orders his guards to check out that spot. And as they start clearing away the dirt and a prayer mat, the truth starts to come out. Underneath it all, they find it: the entrance to a hidden passage. Yes, a secret tunnel, carefully dug, stretching off into the darkness. And when they checked to see where it was going, the horrifying reality hit them. It was aimed directly at the sacred chamber where the Prophet was buried. Well, the game was up. The two men were seized on the spot. Their whole act of being holy men just crumbled to dust with the evidence right there at their feet. The Sultan ordered them to be interrogated immediately to find out what in the world was going on. I mean, you have to ask, right? A secret tunnel dug night after night, all while pretending to be someone you're not? That is an insane amount of work and risk. What could possibly have been their endgame?
Under questioning, they confessed everything. They weren't pilgrims at all. They were agents sent on a mission. Their whole pious act was just a cover, so no one would get suspicious while they dug. And their objective? It was almost unthinkable, to reach the chamber and steal the blessed body of the prophet. Stopping this plot was obviously a huge deal, but for a leader like Nuruddin Zangi, it wasn't enough. He wasn't just thinking about the crisis in front of him, he was thinking about the future. He knew he had to build a permanent defense to make sure no one could ever even try this again. And his solution was both brilliant and, frankly, epic. He ordered the construction of what became known as the lead wall. The whole idea was to create a solid, unbreakable barrier deep in the earth. I mean, this was a massive project. Workers dug this incredibly deep trench that went all the way around the sacred chamber. Then, they brought in huge amounts of lead, melted it down, and poured it into the trench. As all that lead cooled, it hardened into a single, powerful underground fortress.
And with that, Sultan Nuruddin Zangi had done it. He had made sure the sacred site was protected from any future threat from below. His response to a dream had literally created a physical defense that would stand for centuries. This whole incredible story, it's about so much more than a secret tunnel, right? It's really this powerful example of a leader whose faith drove him to take decisive, unbelievable action. It really leaves us with something to think about. How does that kind of deep personal belief shape the duties of a leader? And what does it really mean to answer a call to duty, no matter how impossible it might seem?